In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Now I want to actually go to examples. I want to give you another example. My first example, a very a very big example, was the example of principle. Well, locality was a principle and actually appeared on page 41. Okay, everything was like that. If you actually look at that page, you see that principle, they have got the principle and locality. Okay, and the examples are like that from different languages. You remember that we gave examples from English. Well, actually, we gave other examples from other languages like French, like German, like Hungarian, and Arabic, to say that locality is a principle and is found in all languages. Well, let us go now to an example of parameter, page 41, the head parameter. Well, in order for you to understand, look at the page 22. 42, page 42. Page 42, 44, 42 says, page 42 says, the sentence on top of it, numbered as 39, says, education for life. You remember we gave three diagrams, and there's a tree diagram for it on page below it, for number 40, which says, it is a noun phrase. To the left we have a noun, and to the right we have a complement. So education is the noun and complement is for life. Of course, the book does not actually want to say that there are two parts for life. Okay, the writer wants to have it as short as possible. Okay, as easy as possible. So there are two branches. One is the noun branch, the other is the complement branch. Okay, education is the noun, and the complement is for life. Of course, we can have two branches for the complement. Okay, we don't want to do it now. Now let us go to another example. Opened the door. For example, the sentence John opened the door, or Mary opened the door, or I opened the door, or you opened the door. Okay, the verb phrase of the sentence is something like this: opened the door, with no subject. Okay, now let us look at this verb phrase. Again, we see that there are two elements in it. One is the verb, like opened, and the other is the complement, which is the door. Okay, so open the door has got two parts. The verb phrase opened the door has got two parts: opened and the door. Well, let us go to a prepositional phrase like 43. In the car. In the car. Well, 44 has got the same thing, the same kind of structure as the previous we had, as earlier examples that we had. Well, for example, again we have a preposition phrase in 44, and the preposition again has got two parts in it. One is the preposition, the other is the complement. So we say a prepositional phrase consists of a preposition and a complement. Okay? So, examples like 39, like 34, 40, 41, 42, 43, and 44 are examples of English sentences. How about a language which is quite different from English? Of course, when we actually study Arabic, we see that it is similar to English, not Japanese. But Japanese is like this. Look at this. Well, let us go to number 45, a Japanese example. We need this Japanese example. Earlier we said that we can skip like French examples, German examples, and Hungarian examples. What we need this example from Japanese. Let us see. The book on top of this line says, the one line before 45 says, one line above it, okay? It says, Japanese is very different. Look at the sentence 45. I don't know Japanese, but I am actually reading your book. E wa kabe ni kakate imasu. What does it mean? Again, you remember the Arabic example begin with Said Ahmed. You remember Said Ahmed or Said Zaid? It was something like that. The second line, in fact, shows the translation. Okay, the gloss, DLOGLOSS, or the translation. The gloss is like this: picture wall on is hanging. Picture wall on is hanging. The gloss, the literal translation from Japanese. We don't need it. Let us see what does it mean. The picture is hanging on the wall. The picture is hanging on the wall is the translation to English. But the sentence appears to be something like this: picture wall on is hanging. Let us look at the structure of, in fact, a sentence like 46. A phrase like a verb phrase in Japanese which appears in 46. Let us see. So, let us see. While English has got first the verb and after that the complement, in Japanese we have the opposite. So look at 46 and compare it with 42. 42 says opened the door. 46 in Japanese says something like this. Something like this. The complement kabe ni, which means wall on. Wall on is hanging. So verb appears in Japanese at the end of the sentence. In Japanese, the verb appears at the end of the sentence. Let us say something. Well, languages can have verbs in different positions. Arabic, classical Arabic, Fusha, the verb appears to the beginning of the sentence, like قال زيد, ذهب أمر. Okay, so the verb in Fusha appears to the beginning. In English, it appears after the subject. So in English, we have subject, verb, object. In Arabic, we have verb, subject, object. You remember? ضرب زيد أمرا. ضرب زيد أمرا. Verb, subject, object. And in Farsi, we have something like this. Remember, there is a third type of language like Farsi, which is like this. Well, subject, object, verb. Three types of languages. Languages like Arabic have got the verb at the beginning, and after that the subject, and after that the verb, or the object. Languages like English, it is something like this. It is something like this. That we have first, in English, the subject, then the verb, and then the object. And in Farsi, okay, it's something like this. Subject, object, verb. Subject, object, verb. Well, back to the discussion. Well, we want to say, unlike English, in a language like Japanese, the verb appears at the end of the verb phrase. Okay? In English, it is at the beginning. So, opened the door is the verb phrase. It is not, of course, the sentence in 41. Okay? We have to say, John opened the door. Opened the door. Okay? But when we say opened the door, it's only a verb phrase. Okay? The verb appears at the beginning, and then after that we have the object. Okay? The complement. More than that, look at another example from Japanese. Strange for Arab students, strange for Farsi students, but this is the way in let's say Japanese. Example 47. Well, the preposition phrase kabeni is like, in fact, the preposition appears at the end of the clause. At the end of the clause. So, is it like English or Arabic? It is not like English, it is not like Arabic. Well, in English, for example, we say, example 44, in the car. In appears at the beginning of the clause, at the beginning of the prepositional phrase. Okay? In Arabic, it is the same. So, we say, في الجامعة, في المكتبة. Fi appears at the beginning. Fi appears at the beginning. But what about Japanese? In Japanese, fi appears at the end. In appears at the end of the sentence. Okay? So it is like this. At the end of the prepositional phrase. So we come to a big conclusion now concerning actually all languages. Look at me here. Well, languages are different. Arabic, Farsi, Japanese, English. There are two types. Those languages where, for example, the preposition appears before, and those languages that preposition appears after. So we have postposition instead of preposition in those languages. Postposition. Fasaf in those languages appear to be something like this. Asaf fi. Asaf fi. What does it mean? It means fasaf. Okay? Asaf fi. Al-hujra. في الحجرة. Okay? What does it mean? It is an Arabic example. In a Japanese, fi appears at the end. Okay? So there are two types of languages. Languages that are heads are the first element and complements appear after, and languages that complements are at the beginning, and after that we have the heads. I am going to elaborate on it on my next presentation. Thank you very much.